the chat. Here, I'm glad that things are working on my end and I got the framing somewhat decently. We got session number 4 here of B-Side with Kimchi Kriminal. He's somebody that I've known for quite a long time from over at NPC forums.
Yep.
We've crossed paths once in a while over on like Instagram and stuff. And I was like, you know what? I got to say hi to this guy. We were just listening to tracks from his album. I think he just released this like within the last month or two. 500 Miles High and Rising. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah, and it's got a picture of the MPC 500 on it. Did you do the entire thing on the MPC 500 or?
Yeah, basically everything on the 500. Maybe some some bass parts I play with my bass guitar. Some horn parts I sample playing Logic, but basically sampled everything into the 500 and sequence with the 500.
Man, I mean, it's a serious amount of work to do that. I've told a few folks I've been through 3 MPC 500s. I have like a love hate relationship with it myself. Like, it is just it's very similar to the MPC 1000 and 2500 workflow in a lot of ways. But there's like some concessions that they made to squeeze everything in there. Do you work on like one track per project, or do you get everything into like one project for what you put together?
No, I use a new project for every beat. That way I can also save the effects more easily, uh, because it just works better if you save the effects as its own project with the beat. So
Yeah, like so, you're you like because I know like pretty famously the MPC 500 and the 1000 are kind of limited for effects. You have, I think you will correct me if I'm wrong because I'm not, I don't, it's been a while since I've really used the 500, but I believe you get 2 effects and then you have like your mastering, like the compressor, EQ, and some other stuff. So I mean, you're kind of stretching what you can do with those effects. Is there any favorite effect that you have on the MPC 500 that's like your go-to?
I think it's the master compressor. I put it on everything. It glues everything nice together. It's not a very interesting or powerful compressor, but it just glues everything together nicely. And yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know the way how everything is inside it just works perfectly with the machine and the sound it creates.
I know I've seen people from time to, especially I think because it's like we're so far removed from like the MPC 500 and 1000 when it released. Like for me, and I'm assuming for you, it was like this is top of the line gear. It sounds as good as working in a DAW, and it's amazing. And I always kind of chuckle when I see people online in forums are like, "Oh, this is lo-fi gear, and I want to get like that lo-fi sound," and I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. Like, do you think it's lo-fi these days, or do you still think it's like a pretty powerful thing in your own mind?
It's still a powerful thing. I think what people consider lo-fi or a certain vintage sound is also a bit subjective, I think. Like when we listen to all the Alchemist tracks that were made on the 2500, maybe 2010, he maybe used a certain interface and maybe certain plugins that were available when you recorded the beats into DAW and mixed down. Uh, those are also uh, relics of the time that are imprinted on the music he made. So people assume, or yeah, they assume that that sound came from that 2500 or that MPC 1000 specifically. While it's more the time and all the other factors uh, during the time period that make up for a certain sound. So
Yeah,
we have the same thing with, yeah, the MPC 3000, and it has the best sound, but it's partly maybe the MC 3000, but also the way they processed things back in the day around the time.
Yeah, I always try and tell folks it's like there's dragons that you're chasing sometimes in that space where if they like they're like it's the MPC 60 or the 3000 or the S950 or what you go into like any other space for other manufacturers. Yeah, it's you have it's the effects, then you have the mixing console, then you've got like whatever those were set to, then you've got compression and like I mean, I know that there are people that are familiar enough with specific instruments that they could probably call out what it is, but I always find like with the samplers, it can be a little bit harder to pull out like which sampler was actually used unless you start getting into like some of the specific effects or tonality that those things have. But once you drop the sound in a mix, it's so much harder to figure out what it actually was.
I totally agree. Maybe the SP1200 with the ring sound, maybe, but the difference between the MC60 and MC3000, to me personally, it's hard to
Yeah.
hear directly.
Yeah, and usually like that like the not that I have an SP1200, but like those kinds of sounds are usually what I'm trying to filter out to make it sound better myself. So I don't know about you, but um, and like as I said, like knowing you from MPC forums for quite a while, I'm still shocked to see that you're rocking the MPC 500s from time to time. What keeps you coming back to it so much? Like it, what got you to fall in love with it?
I think it's in line with what more people are feeling, looking at the popularity of the MC sample, and that is maybe decision fatigue. Like, I love my MPC X and all the new technology and all the VSTs and all the effects, and you can so many different ways about making a beat with with the new technology. Also for the people who use DAW and all that. And sometimes it gets a bit overwhelming. And with the MPC 500 or with the sample or with another minimalistic type of sampler, you don't have that many options. You can either go left or go right. And once you decide to go left or to go right, it's done. You have to keep moving forward. You cannot undo it. The Once you get one step further, there are again you're not running into too many options, and that's why it's so yeah. And it's more easy to keep the process going, and it maybe also feels a little bit more satisfying. I sometimes compare like you can bring your car to the car wash, just drive through it, and in a couple of minutes the machines they wash the car for you, but you can also wash it yourself by hand and put some extra more love into it. Maybe those things and more things is what I love about working with the MPC 500.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's like that analysis paralysis, or just like you have like you have 1,000 or 2,000 different sounds plus all the note combinations and stuff. It gets crazy. I That's like why I've liked some of the even with like the MPC X or live and stuff. I don't know. I'm usually just like, what's like the 16 to 32 samples that I want to work with, and then it's like it either works or it doesn't. But once you spent the time to like load it up, modify it, get it to kind of sound right in the mix, you've kind of already invested the time. Whereas it feels like less of an investment just to sit there and endlessly scroll through presets, and then you sometimes just don't end up with anything. So I hear you on that for sure. And I think it's a good reason why some of the older tech can be nice. And I think it also gets to why people are like I don't know that I fully agree with it, but like saying like the new MPCs are like a DAW in a box. I'm like, well, they kind of are, but they also still bring with them their own limitations to them. I probably will come up with a few more MPC 500 questions for you after this one, and just sprinkle them in. But what is it that is there things that in the MPC 500 you're like, I'm just not bothering to do in it anymore? Like just workflows that you're like, yeah, 15, 20 years ago I was doing, but that you're not doing with it today?
uh, Trying to make very complex beats.
Hmm.
Kind of beats the purpose for me nowadays to use the 500 when I have other MPCs as well. But uh, yeah, sometimes with certain beats, I'm like, oh, I'm taking this part and this part, and I end up with 40 chops and try to sew everything together into one complex arrangement. Uh, that that is what I used to try to do on the MPC 500 like 15 years ago, but I'm not bothered to do that with it anymore. Again, it's pure simple nowadays. Everything.
Yeah, while I know how to use a calculator to find chop points and stuff on the MPC 500 or some of the older ones, I'm also I put in I can't be bothered to do it anymore.
Well, for chopping up, I actually use the resampling function, just like people would do on the 404.
Yeah.
I have a template or a project template which I load in, and the way I've set up my program already, it loads up when I boot up the MPC 500. I put my sample on the first pad, and after the way I set it up, I can resample all my chops very quickly to the pads, just the start and end points, and then I have 8 chops quite fast.
Yeah, I know you got the MPC sample, and like, how do you feel that compares with like some of the more modern workflows, as it's kind of like a go between like that MPC 500 and like the bigger brother with like the MPC X?
Uh, same but different. It's the same concept maybe. It's portable. It's small. It's simplistic, but it's simplistic in other ways. They cut down the sequence quite a bit. But the chopping features on MC Sample, they are amazing for such a small device, which comes with the modern technology. So it still forces you to be more creative in a certain way, but other things are more modern, like the chopping feature and having an micro SD card instead of a compact flash card or
Yeah. Have you tried exporting any of the programs, drum kits from the bigger MPC X so that you can load them up on the sample, or not yet?
no, not yet. Also because of the story that went around the MPC forums that somebody bricked this MPC sample trying to load in a full project into the full X or live project into the MPC sample. So plus there's also a need for me as well.
It would be one thing. I've done it, and it like, so instead of loading it as a project, if you like there, when you go into this menu, there's like a button that you can push. I think it's the top right button out of the three, and it will say load like drum kit, and it just, whatever you've got programmed on the drum kit, it will load it in. What's really cool about it is a lot of the things that you don't get access to in the programming on the MPC sample, you can actually do. You can program it on like the X or the Live or whatever. So like where you have like a per pad, you've got your 8 effects, or even you've got like the four like full effects that you can do. Any of the ones that come included, you can actually load them up, like the delay and like other stuff, and put them into your drum kit. I haven't. I put a pretty good amount of stuff in, and I was able to get a fairly complicated thing going with like modulation and LFOs and things that you just can't edit on the sample right now. So, if you get a chance and you feel worth like it's worth checking out, I'd say do it, because it is a good way to take some of the Big Brother parameters and bring them down to the sample to go mess with. I was putting a couple videos together, or maybe I was live streaming. I forget, but it does work, which is cool. The as far as crate digging goes, I could see you got like a bit of a record collection going over there. Do you mostly hit up records, or are you kind of looking through like YouTube videos or other like digital crates, or is it just whatever strikes your fancy at the time?
I think that I do the most digging on YouTube nowadays because there's so many great channels curated by great vinyl collectors, and they load them up in such great quality. And I mean, when I started making beats, vinyl used to be so cheap, and it gains popularity the last 10, 15 years. And a good soul record used to be like 750,
Hmm.
and they're now going for 20 euros, $20
Yeah.
at least. And some rare blue notes used to be like 40 or 50, and then now go for like 70 and 100. Uh, so I do go out and still buy records, of course, but I make so many beats, I cannot afford to feed my beat making hunger with buying only vinyl records. So I do a lot of e-digging.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, like I know there's people that from time to time are like, no, it has to be recorded off of vinyl or it doesn't count. I know I'm not one of those people. Like, if it sounds cool, just go work with it.
Yeah, they say, yeah, hip hop was originated by sampling from records, but my opinion is it's not because of that specific medium. It was the most yeah, it was mostly available to the DJs and the beat makers back then. And what's most easiest, or most, yeah, the easiest available for me nowadays is YouTube. So so to me,
Yeah,
it's like grab what's most easy to grab for you.
yeah, and I think a lot of it was just like this stuff was so inexpensive. Like it would be like a quarter. Like you could go get like records back, like when it was really like early sampling time. Like people would spend a fortune to buy a sampler, and then they're like, well, I got the radio, which is pretty low quality. Maybe cassette tapes, which are lower in general, lower quality than vinyl. So it was like vinyl was kind of the highest quality, but people were getting rid of them because they were moving their collections to cassette tapes and then CDs and stuff. So we've had this long time where nobody wanted it, and I don't like there. I used to work with a guy that DJ'd, and he had like a 2,000 record collection, and he was like, "I'll sell it to you for $10,000." And at the time, I was like, "This is a ridiculous amount of money. I can't afford it." But now I'm like, if I had done that, I'd be sitting. That'd be my retirement fund. but nah, I got you. No, that's cool. I think it's like I don't know. It's a saying you have to sample off of vinyl or whatever seems like a form of gatekeeping that's kind of not cool. It's like just sample whatever like that works for you. Like go to like department stores and sample whatever crummy music they're playing. You can flip it and make something cool for sure.
Yeah.
When you're grabbing samples and stuff, are you looking more for what are you kind of like usually looking for? Like rhythm, like bass, melodies, harmonies, like the whole package. What gets your ear excited when you're like, I want to flip this?
Uh, Kind of depends on what kind of beat I want to make, but I think mostly it's the total package. Sometimes I go for certain instruments like electric pianos, Fender Rhodes. Those are always a win for me. If there are some nice chords going on, I think I can chop up the chords and make something from that. But sometimes I'm also looking for where there are quite some instruments playing,
Mm.
so it already sets the tone, and I own and it pushes me already in a certain direction I want to go to, or something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I, I, I hear you. I usually just like whatever catches my attention. I'm like, oh, I feel like I could do something fun with that. Is what I go towards. Any particular like piece of gear, like a notebook or something that you've just kept since you kind of started making music, where you're like, this is just, I'm never getting rid of this, and this kind of represents me?
Uh, no, yeah, maybe I got an still an old SOS magazine. When I started out, I bought. I didn't know anything about gear. Didn't know anybody around me who was into making music. So I thought, well, let's go to the bookstore because YouTube also wasn't really a thing yet. So I bought a magazine, and there happened to be an interview in there with one of my favorites, DJ Premier, and he in the interview stated that he was using an MPC, an MPC, MPC6. I had never heard about a MPC, never knew what it did. And in the same magazine, there was the advertisement of the MPC 500 that was about to come out. So I was like, I need to have, or I need to get the MPC 500. So I went out and bought the MPC 500, started making beats, and that's how basically started. So that's that's the basic for me, or the foundation,
Yeah, yeah.
or what I started with.
Yeah, for folks out there that are like trying to get started, like anything that you have for advice for folks. Because when like it's a completely different world. Like when we were getting started, it was like there's a handful of devices. There's a lot of older gear. I hear like people like I've got like 5 or 10 terabytes of samples, and I'm like, that's terrifying. Like I don't know, like what do you have for advice for people that like want to just get started into this as like a hobby, even?
Um, I would, I think I would advise them to try different things if that's possible. Like maybe you're a DAW person, maybe more into the 404, maybe more to MPC, but you never really know unless you try the different things. And I think it really helps you if you find it one thing that you fall in love with, just working with it, and inspires you every day to keep trying to make beats. That's the only way to get better. Trying or keep trying to make beats, getting better at it every day, and you won't come back to it every day if it's something you don't like doing. Like me, I don't like working on a computer too much. So if somebody had told me you have to learn to make beats on the computer or in a DAW, I probably stop making beats after a year because I wouldn't enjoy it as much as working on an MPC. But everybody is different in that regard, so I would advise everybody to try to find your own thing.
Yeah, there's no absolutely no right or wrong way to do any of this stuff, and like I think it's worth pushing what like like sampling. Obviously, you're gonna get into sampling. You need a sampler, but I've seen people make like incredibly amazing drum patterns with like a pencil and a pen, and like you just go nuts. Like I just have fun, like enjoy yourself. If you got something you could record on, like most people have a phone or something, like you can just record stuff. And I always tell folks it's like when you want to get started, it's okay to start small. Like it'd be like you don't have to go buy everything. Just like pick something and just kind of like start there. Learn the instrument or device. If you don't like it, that doesn't mean you don't like making music or anything. You can always move on to something else. Try a different thing. There's plenty of ways to get involved and get into it. I'm gonna ask you because I personally get these questions from time to time through my YouTube channel, but between like a sequencing style of recording or kind of like the where you've got like the MPC or using like the TR rack on like the SP404 Mark II or something. So like going into like more of that sequencing style or versus like on like the SP404 Mark II or on the MPC using like the looper or just resampling straight, like playing audio. Do you tend to go more like a little bit more tight with like a sequencer, or do you try and kind of keep it loose and record like the audio as like a audio stream?
Oh no, I definitely need the sequencing power of the MPC. Um, I don't know why. I think I'm just wired like that, but I did some resampling beats on the 404, but I found my timing not good enough to make full beats with it. Or of course, you have to invest the time in
Yeah.
it, practice a lot. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, why spend that much time trying to acquire a skill while can make it or I can make it sound just how I want it by using the MPC.
Mhm.
So it was like going backwards, trying to relearn myself how to make beats the resampling way.
Yeah, I put myself in feeling like I configure drum like 2 to 3, maybe sometimes 4 pads if I feel like it. But going beyond that, like I'm like I don't need to be doing a full drum kit and playing the bass line and all melody and all that myself. So I hear you. I err towards more sequencing myself. I don't mind the practice when there's a certain like swinger feel that I just can't get on a device, but it's not usually where I start myself. Any any like hobby or influence that's not musical that has come in and kind of helped influence or inform like how you make music?
I think cooking,
What do you cook?
mostly Asian dishes. Um, but if you're cooking up a meal, you're looking for ingredients that fit together. Like
Mm.
if you're going to stir fry some Thai noodle dish, you're not going to use olive oil, for example, because that's a whole other cuisine, a whole other vibe, if I can call it like that. And I think it's the same with making beats. You look for sounds that fit together and that fit a certain vibe or certain flavor. And sometimes it's kind of like sushi. You only have two ingredients, like you only have a drum break and a sample, and that sound like very simple, very minimalistic, like, but at the same time, because you only have two components, you have to make sure those two components or those two ingredients are of the highest quality. Like sushi it tastes so well, those only two ingredients, rice and fish, because those ingredients are of superb quality. And so that's how I compare making beats a lot of time with cooking, and that's how I think about it a lot of times, and how it changed uh, kind of how I look at making beats.
Yeah.
It's like making
And I think there's a lot to the quality of what you're working with. I mean, that's why people that have I say this and knowing full well I have a pretty large sample library, but that's kind of happens as a result of just, recording stuff or collecting things over, you know, 25, 30 years versus like just going out and buying stuff. But yeah, like I feel like a a high quality sample will require far less work to work with. You have much more opportunity to do interesting things with it versus having a mountain of low quality stuff. It gets you back into that problem of like the preset problem. You're just like scrolling forever, and maybe you can eventually get it to work, but if you're buying sample packs or sampling stuff off YouTube or anything, have a system for curating stuff and have a system to organize it. And it's okay to have a device or two that you don't have your sample library on and force yourself to sample in, because otherwise, yeah, how many flavors of ketchup do you need or whatever it is? Get the one that you like and just stick with that. Do you have any organizational strategy yourself for sampling?
um kind of, like I said, I get most of my samples nowadays from YouTube, and usually I hate algorithms, but I really love the YouTube algorithm because it really suggests you really good stuff, I think, in my opinion, or
Mhm.
at least my case. So I see a lot of great uploads on my homepage, and I check them out quickly, and if I like them, I save them in certain playlists. I have jazzy, electric pianos, guitars, drums. I have a list I've called Foreign. That's where I store all my Italian soundtrack type of music, and Japanese music. So that's I have a playlist called Soul Bangers. All the soul tracks that I
Mhm.
like that I find on YouTube, I save in there. So it's easy for me. Like, hey, I haven't done a soul beat in a while. I'm going. I'm going to go through my Soul Bangers playlist until I find something, and then make a soul beat today, or like, oh, I have this really nice thing going. I want an electric guitar part on top of the beat. Let's scroll
Yeah.
through my uh, guitar playlist.
Mhm.
Kind of how people used to organize their crates.
Do you have any strategies for keeping or playing sounds like in key with each other, or do you just kind of do it by ear?
I kind of do it by ear. The new MPCs, of course, they tell you what the key of the sample is, but sometimes it's off. But usually I load in a piano program or something like that,
Mhm.
and then I, I play along note by note until I can figure out what the key of the song is, and the notes that go with it, and the chords. And once I figured out that, then I basically can add everything I want,
Mhm.
or play everything I want.
Yeah, I find the MPC it if it's like if you have a chord or something, it like on average is probably pretty close to correct, but it's like you don't trust what it says all the time. Like you still gotta go test it. Are you a MPC firmware 2 or have you gone to firmware 3 as a user?
No, I went up to firmware 3. Um, Even though I really miss the ability to have one program that you can assign to multiple tracks. But I really, 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 really hated the mixer in 2, and I was really looking forward to a more traditional type of mixer. It's still a bit messy, and on the other hand, he cannot expect the NPC to be good at everything. At least it got a lot better to me. Easy to go to certain buses or
Hmm.
subgroup channels. Um, but yeah, definitely upgraded to MPC 3.
Yeah. Uh, for folks that don't know, can you explain why having one program that you can map to multiple tracks is nice for you?
Yeah, because you can build like one drum kit, like the kick, the snare, and the head. And let's say what I do a lot of time on the first track, just sequence the snare, clap, blap, blap, and on the second track, the kick, boom, 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 clap, boom, boom, clap, and it's way easier to go to the next track, assign the same program to it, and continue sequencing instead of copying over the program
Mhm.
to continue on a new track. I don't know if this makes any sense.
Yeah, I've tried to explain this myself to folks before, and I totally understand what you're saying, but I would put it the important part, as Kimchi said, is having one program like if you have like a 16 pads where you got your kick, snare, whatever, you can basically route multiple tracks to the same kit, so that if you just want a kick, you can then mute that track or unmute it, or you can go change it later and do some other stuff with it. That in firmware 3 requires you having like a kick program with potentially just one kick on in the entire drum kick, so it kind of feels like a waste of a program in a lot of ways. And if you there, I don't know if you've messed around with doing like the MIDI routing, but I mean you can route MIDI tracks to drum kits, but it is a absolutely terrible experience. So I stopped doing it.
What I usually do is I just copy the program a couple of times, and then I or I route them all to the same submix,
Yeah,
and it's a little bit more work, but I'm used to it now, and I try not to think about it too much, and it works for me. It's yeah.
yeah. I put it in the it's fine. And I understand how it makes things so much easier for new users to come in and use. And as you said, like the mixer is so it's I don't this is a problem you have on like the SP404 Mark II. There's so many places that you have to go change volume parameters. I mean, you still kind of have that on the MPC as well, but routing everything through a single mixer at least gives you a view where you can get your VUs, so you can see what your levels are, make adjustments and all that. It's very hard to do in other, like in the firmware 2 and like on the SP404 Mark II and stuff. Nah, oh, well, that's all cool. I appreciate that. I know you've had an SP404 Mark II for a while. How do you use that in your music making process? Anything like special or fun you do with it?
Yeah, I have hooked everything to a patch base, so when I'm looking for samples, I've hooked it up in a way that I run everything through the SP404, then through a warm audio bus compressor. But then I use it as my effects unit before a sample. And when I make a post on Instagram, I reroute it so it's on the back end of the chain. So my MPC main outs run through the SP44 and then to the compressor. And that's how I record basically all my posts, or the music for my posts on Instagram. Yeah, basically for that, we talked about it before we went live. The sequencer is a certain kind of flavor that me as a real NPC head can't wrap my head around it. So can't make a beat on it to save my life. But I do love to perform with it. That's why I upgraded to do some more performances, and for that it's
Do you use the DJ mode on it, or are you like just firing off loops and stuff?
firing off loops
Nice.
of cool songs basically.
Yeah. Oh, that's
I'm,
cool. Do you still have
yeah.
your old the OG 4? I think you had an OG 404, right?
Yeah. I had it on my desk a couple of weeks ago because the Mark II, it's the functionality is way better. Like you have two buses and you have more effects. But personally, I think the effects on certain effects on the OG sound way better.
Yeah. There's also, do you have a 303 or a 202 or just the OG 404? Yeah. The time stretching on the 202, it's got the old style where it's actually running a chip that it just changes the speed at which it's playing the sample back. Like this is how like the S900 and S950 and like a lot of old stuff worked, is they would just reclock the chip, the playback chip, and it gives you like a certain tone that you don't get with like modern DSP and stuff. I mean, like there's a lot of really good simulations. So folks that are good, like nobody out there needs to be like, it sounds the same. I'll be like, okay, that's yeah, you can get similar for sure, but yeah, the 303 still has. I was like, I so hope that Roland puts it out. I actually really like the radio effect on the 303. It's in that like vinyl tape sim uh, SP space, but it's like kind of geared towards a radio sound, like an FM AM radio sound. And then I mean the subsonic effect, it just had like it hits just right sometimes when you're like, I don't care what the tuning of this is, I just want like to run an effect through it and get something that will be in tune. So are there other effects that you have that are like go-to effects, or do you mostly use like the SP effect boxes and like the MPC effects?
Yeah, basically yes, and the warm audio bus compressor.
Mm-hmm.
I have that one basically on everything, and I do have a master preset uh, with some plugins, some virtual pull text and stuff like that. Uh, but that's basically it. I'm not really that familiar with effects and
Mm-hmm.
plugins. Again, I'm not really into the DAW realm, so I keep it mostly with the SP and the bus compressor.
I mean, they give you so there are already so many effects for those things. I've got a pretty I got a larger than necessary, but not that large guitar pedal collection.
Yeah.
So, and I don't play guitar. I just like hooking up samplers to and running stuff through it, just see what comes out. So that's kind of where I go. I used to have a really big Euro rack setup, but I had to give that up. It was just too much to remember, and it was not. It was fun, but it was not simple. So
Hey, there's this Dutch guy, Tommy Vamos. I don't know if you ever heard about him. I think some of the beat lovers know him, but he has a MPC 2000 and an MPC 60, and he has a rack with um um he has a rack with hardware effects
yeah,
and a 24 channel mixer, something like that. It's awesome to see, and it sounds amazing, but at the same time I think, oh, it's such so hard to maintain all those boxes and to set up everything every time, and once you start a new beat, all your settings are erased, or but it's awesome to see and awesome to hear.
yeah. Um, any musical concepts that took you way longer to learn than you feel like they should have to master, or like anything that was kind of like frustrating for you, like either getting started or even like today, where you're like, I just banged my head against the wall for it.
Yeah, turning 4-bar loops in full beats, making a B section, or also adding stuff to the beat, like playing my own stuff or adding other samples, getting things in tune. I didn't understand it, and I'm still struggling with it today. Like, is this in tune or not? I don't know. Um, those are some skills that took me a while to master. Also, post production, like really getting to know the effects properly. Of course, I knew what a compressor does, but
Mm-hmm.
really understanding it to be able to apply it and use it in a certain way. I have to shout out Conan for that. The Crates Motel, Conan the Concierge. I think you know his YouTube channel.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Taught me a lot uh, about effects and processing. Those are things that I mastered quite late, like a couple of years ago, and I'm still struggling with, or I think I'm still struggling with, and I'm still focusing on
Mm-hmm.
improving.
Yeah, the thing that like I think feels daunting to people when they get started is it's like, I mean, I'm sure you feel the same way. I've been doing this forever, and there's always a ton more to go learn. There's, I mean, you can stop and keep doing what you're doing forever, like for sure. And like also, if you just want, like, hey, I want to improve mixing, well, you can go do that. If you want to go improve mastering, go do that. If you want to learn how to play an instrument, you can go learn to play another instrument. There's like always like new stuff to learn.
Yeah, and you're never done learning. Somebody's told me a couple of weeks ago, his teacher at he studied jazz in New York. I don't know where exactly, but his teacher said to him there are two types of braveness. The first one is the braveness of the beginner, and the other one is the braveness of the master. Because if you're a beginner, you knew and you think that you're doing quite well when you're first starting out. I'm able to loop up a sample and or the master who knows that that he masters everything. But if you're in between, you're always like, oh, I'm not able to do this. I haven't acquired this skill. And like I said, oh, I should learn to play that instrument and all that.
Yeah. Anything that you do to kind of unplug or unwind that's not music related? Um, how do you chill out? Or is it just making music?
It kind of yes, but sometimes it can drain you as well. If you keep forcing yourself trying to make beats, trying to be creative, because your mind cannot, or at least my mind cannot come up 24/7, 365 with with beats and dope concepts. But I like to go to the gym. Uh, I like to travel every now and I'm trying not to think about making beats as well, or go for a ride on the motorcycle, stuff like that. Just
Yeah.
getting out of the house, basically.
Yeah. I hear you. Like, and for me, I kind of put it in the if I'm still doing music but I'm relaxing, I'm like, okay, what am I going to kind of practice? Like, what's my comfort thing to go do? I don't have to like have in mind I got to make a full track, but on the flip side, that's why I have thousands of unfinished projects that I'm like, I'm never coming back to this probably, but it's fine. Like, and the, you, I think like I always tell folks like as an artist, it's up to you to know when it's actually something that's valuable and interesting to go work on. Like, it's okay to also just goof around and do goofy things. Like,
Yeah, just playing around. Yeah.
well, I have to say, I just from like you and like some of the other folks I've been catching up with that have been dropping albums. Like for the longest time, I was like, I don't have fun doing the end part of the process, whatever that is. Like, I don't mind like making a rather complete song and then posting it up on SoundCloud, and there's no expectations. But like as I've been talking with folks, I'm like, all right, I haven't done like a drum and bass album in a while, so I've got two tracks that are like pretty well done. I've started another two that I'm like, I gotta get like in the mindset of like, what does it take to actually put a cohesive thing together? So I'm definitely trying to keep track of what everybody out in the community is doing to stay motivated doing that. I do want to like kind of in that space. I do want to ask. I saw. I know we were playing some of your tracks that were on Spotify. For getting content posted up on Spotify, uh, is that something that you're doing kind of as a labor of love for getting your tracks up, or is it like something that you just feel like is a good investment to do as a musician?
No, I just want my music out there, and I
Mm.
think that uh, most people, I can reach most people through Spotify, because almost everybody has Spotify or knows it. Uh, so I'm not really into making any money off of it. I just want it to be out there, and just for the love of it, basically.
Yeah, I agree. Like, we're probably in the wrong profession if we want to be making a ton of money on it. Like, you don't do this stuff for fun. That's when you have to be in the mindset of I'm making tracks 24/7 and doing all that stuff, which isn't why I got into it myself. But yeah, you mentioned that that you like to do motorcycle rides. You more of a day trip person? Do you like to go do long trips to like go? Do you like do like camping trips out for motorcycle rides, or what's that look like for you?
No, I did some longer tours like a couple of years ago. but I'm not really into camping after a long day in the set. I want to lay down in a comfy bed. Maybe I'm a bit a bit spoiled. But usually also not day tours as well anymore. Maybe go out for an hour, do some
Mhm.
chores. I live in Amsterdam. It's quite going from A to B can be a hassle sometimes, especially by car. So motorcycles is a great way to move around in a congested city. So sometimes we're like, oh, I'm going to pick up some groceries here and maybe go drink a cup of coffee there and maybe hit up the record store and get a record or two. So it's kind of more of a kind of way to glue things together to get me out of the house
Yeah.
days instead of just going out for a long day trip or for a couple of days just to be riding.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I rode just enough to realize how dangerous it can be. It was like, I don't think it's for me, but I know a lot of people that like to ride. So uh, I live in New Hampshire. For folks that I don't know if you've heard of it, there's a city that's north of me called Loudon that they have a bunch of motorcycle events and stuff up north. So like we'll hear people like peeling through the neighborhood when it gets to be that season.
Mm.
But well, I would say, hey man, it's been great catching up with you. Great talking with you. I'm really happy
Thank
to
you
have
for
you
having me.
around, and absolutely, we'll have to do another one sometime and catch up. Any
Always down
place?
for it.
Oh, sorry, what?
Always down for it.
All right, man. Well, anything that you want to point out for people? Anything you want to shout out or anything?
No, basically, just thank you for having me, and I really enjoyed catching up with you as well. Like you said, we've crossed paths numerous times last couple of years on the forums and also here on YouTube and Instagram, and it was nice to be able to talk to you and share our experiences and how we think about things concerning making beats and music.
Yeah. Well, hey, thanks again. Take it easy, and we'll catch up
Take care
again
as
soon.
well. Okay. Bye bye.